to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond, in London, England, as well as Paris, France. And of course, you good old boys from Africa, you know we love the Big C tribe, and of course, we love you up in Canada. But Big C, there's no one we love more than you good old boys down south, in the land of the free, and the home of the brave. Big C, how's it going for you good old boys down south?
Charlton, we're running through a heat wave down here. I don't know whether to take a shower or jump in the pool. You know, it's kind of warm down here today, and so my tan is resonating. I didn't know which sunblock to put on, so I just went out there and burned up like bacon.
Hey, I understand we all can burn up like bacon, especially when it's February 20th, 2018, in the land of the free and the home of the brave, and so many things happening in the world of sports and politics. You know, I'm always thinking about how great it is to be someone who can live in this great country of ours. And we know that nothing's free. You got to fight for everything. But I love the fact that throughout the history of this universe, everybody who's ever accomplished something, they have to fight for it first, Big C. I got to say that this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. Big C, in the world of the White House, my goodness, I think we've made progress at times, and then other times it seems like we haven't. I think Sarah Huckabee Sanders is saying that people who accuse Donald Trump, even though they filed the lawsuit through the court, she said she can't believe him. Is that what she said, Big C?
You know, it's amazing that you have a female spokesperson for the White House press secretary, and she's calling over a dozen women liars that accuse Donald Trump of sexual misconduct. You know, that's just a total slap in the face of the female society of America.
Yeah.
That Sarah Huckabee values her job so much that, you know, it precedents what's really out there in actuality.
Yeah.
That, you know, the sense of women lives and character stand nothing in our country. You know, it took him over a week to say that he stood for women's rights against battering, Charlton.
Yeah.
After he had 2 staff members, you know, resign for beating their former spouses.
Yeah.
And so he said, you know, that there was no place in America for domestic violence.
Yeah.
Yet he's done it all the time. You know, his first wife filed rape charges against him. So I think that might be some kind of domestic violence. I'm not intelligent, but
you can Google.
But
you can Google.
I think that lays in there somewhere. And then, you know, cheating on his present wife with porn stars. You know, that's middle domestic violence, Charlton.
Yeah.
But, you know, these over a dozen women who've come out and made these allegations against him, and Sarah Huckabee is going to sit there and say, well, these are all lies.
Yeah.
You know, she doesn't value the integrity of other women in America to make that statement.
Yeah. So
I guess she was there to have the videotape of what all, because to make that bold of a statement, she can be called as a witness.
So she doesn't believe that the $130,000 check was a real check. She think it was a rubber or a fake check, Big C?
It was a fake check, Charlton. You know, you know, rubber. It might have been latex. You know, we never know.
One of those bouncing checks. I guess the guy that wrote the check for Donald Trump, what they call it when you write bad checks to a store, I think they put you in some type of database and you can't write. I think it's called check fax. It's called check fax. So Donald Trump's friend that paid $130,000 for him is going to be on check fax because Sarah Huckabee says he had a fake check. Big C, is that what you're trying to say?
Well, you know, I don't know many people, Charlton, just walk out and write $130,000 check because you got a friend that you like.
Yeah.
You know, and you're doing some cover. But not only that, Charlton, there was another magazine that wrote a $150,000 check to another one.
What?
And for her story. Okay.
Wow.
Esquire.
Yeah.
But they never ran the story. So they paid her off without running the story.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was a backdoor payoff. You think about it. Okay, we're going to give you $150,000 for the rights to your story.
Yeah.
You give us exclusivity. And you sign this exclusivity clause that once you sell it to us, you can't give it to anybody else.
Yeah.
And then you bury the story. Now, the owner of the magazine is a good friend of Donald Trump's.
Oh, really?
So he got a lot of friends paying a lot of money.
Yeah. And it's funny, when a porn star does anything with exclusivity, Big C, that's an oxymoron. Last I checked, Big C. You can tell a porn star only be with me. That doesn't make any sense, Big C. Hey,
only I can watch your video. Only I can see your picture. You know.
All fair and level. Well, I think I've heard it all, but it's a shame. But I think on another note, and again, with all of the tragedy that's happened in Florida, I just have a feeling, unfortunately, it's going to become another Sandy Hook. It's going to become another Columbine. It's going to become another whatever happened down in Las Vegas at the concert. It's the thing that happened in Orlando, that nightclub. That's just, right now, people are all emotional about it because they're still having the services. But in about a month or two, just like those tragedies, President Obama tried to make it more difficult for crazy people to get guns, and Donald Trump stripped it away. And I hope that these people that he's going to have his town hall in front of, and this is for all the universe listening, as they look to America as a leader in this free world, Big C, I hope they hold Donald Trump accountable, ask him why he stripped away that law that made it difficult for crazy people to get guns. Like you said, they don't need his prayers. Prayers not going to bring people back. They don't need him to say our thoughts and wishes are with you. That's not going to bring people back. But what may have prevented this tragedy and any future tragedy that may happen is keeping guns, assault rifles, out of the hands of crazy people. If that's not what his town hall is for, to sign a bill in front of everybody, it's just grandstanding. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I don't see how he can communicate openly with people that are beneath him, that are not on his financial level. So, I'm looking at this town hall that he's holding as a setup.
Yeah.
That's all. This is a media faux pas.
Fake news.
Yeah, and probably only Fox will cover it, Charlton.
Yeah.
But you think about it, he's not inviting any of the children or administrators from Florida.
No.
Or their families.
Nope.
None of these people are invited to the White House.
Why not, though? Why not, Big C?
This is a stage, because it's staged. You got too much emotion down there. These people are going to ask him the real hard question. The people that he's going to have in front of him, I guarantee you, they're going to give them a cue card for them to ask the question that's on the cue card.
Yeah.
And nothing else. No one is going to be able to ask an emotional question, a real question. It's like his friend today, Rush Limbaugh. He said that the kids from Florida going in, marching on the state legislature, that this was a Democratic ploy. They look like Democrats.
Really?
For going out, being anti-gun, anti-automatic weapons, anti-killing children. Rush Limbaugh said this was a Democratic event, that this wasn't sincere. That they're trying to politicize this.
Is he nuts?
Their friends died. Their teachers died. And Rush Limbaugh saying that they're politicizing it. And you think about it, the Florida legislature today would not even take a vote on gun laws today, Charlton. That's how it is. So it's going to be in the media for a couple weeks, and a lot of people are going to feel emotional behind it.
Yeah.
But the thing about it, it's not the emotions of America. It's the finances of our politics. That's the problem in America.
Yeah.
Is as long as our politicians get paid by gun lobbyists, and they make more money from lobbyists than what they do from their job. You think about it. You're a multimillionaire, and you go take a $180,000 a year job.
Yeah.
And you say because you care about people. That's first and foremost what the public needs to think about.
Yeah.
How much does your congressman, how much does your senator make?
Yeah.
How much does your representative make? Then look at what they were making in the private sector.
Yeah.
You're going to be a neurosurgeon, and you're going to give up that practice for a $180,000 a year job, Charlton?
Yep.
You're a high-paid corporate attorney, Charlton. You're going to give up that for that job? You're an orthopedic surgeon. You're going to give that up for that job? You're a heart surgeon. There's a reason why you become a politician in America.
Yeah.
And it's not always for good. Yes, there are some good ones out there, Charlton.
Yeah.
That are there for the people. But there should be term limits on our politicians.
Oh, yeah.
You have a 1 8-year or a 1 10-year term as a politician. That's it.
Yeah.
You don't get to go out and be reelected again. You can be recalled.
Yeah.
but you don't go out and get a chance to be reelected again. Because we thought when we saw Sandy Hook, that there would be change. And really, when Columbine happened 20 years ago, it really shook America to its bootstraps.
Yeah.
It did. But no one thought that this could happen in a house of education for our children. But it has gotten to the point now, Charlton, in the last 3 years, we've seen 2 mass church shootings.
Yeah.
South Carolina, Texas. That affected no one from a religious perspective,
That's
Charlton.
right. I forgot about the one in Texas. Yeah.
But you think about that. In 2 church shootings, Charlton, over 30 American citizens died in these last 2 church shootings.
Yeah.
And it doesn't bother America. But we've had 18 school shootings here in 2018.
Yeah.
If that doesn't affect America, Charlton, nothing will. And if that doesn't change laws, and the president, they say he's going to have Jeff Sessions visit the butt stock rule on these automatic weapons, the ones that were used in Las Vegas to allow the shooter to fire over 1,000 rounds in 10 minutes, Charlton.
Wow. That's
He
crazy.
said he's going to visit that. He didn't say he's going to abolish it. He said he's going to visit that.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? Go to a gun store? Say, okay, I visited?
Yeah.
The thing about all of this legislation, Charlton, we're having a lot of dialogue.
Yeah. That's a good thing.
But nobody is saying how to remedy it.
Yeah.
Dialogue is nice. It's great. It's like going to church and listening to the minister. We've had the dialogue saying our thoughts and prayers, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, what are we praying for?
Yeah.
If we pray long enough, then they'll forget that we have a violence going on in America.
Yeah.
And we need to change these gun laws.
Yep.
And we need to put restrictions. Don't give me mental health, saying that mental health is the reason for the shooting.
That's guns.
Last time I looked, Charlton, it was guns and ammunition.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every time.
You're right.
It's guns and ammunition.
Yeah.
Mental health is a dialogue. Guns and ammunition are a fact.
Today's February 20th, 2018, and the fact that you mentioned about Rush Limbaugh, which he has a certain base that's really full of hate and vitriol and narcissism, but for him to say to the parents who are burying their kids today and over the past couple of days, for Rush Limbaugh, the Ditto guy, right, with all his followers, to tell those families that people are marching for propaganda as they're laying their teenagers to rest. I just wonder how people like him even have a job, because the station that stands behind that, what sponsor would sponsor that garbage? And what sponsor would want to put money behind that vitriol when you have people who their life is over? And here's a guy that's going to say it's propaganda as he sits in his ivory tower. Who are the sponsors who are sponsoring his show that would allow to pay millions of dollars for that garbage to be read to the parents of those kids, Big C? That's to me, that's just asinine. And I wonder what sponsorship is going to have the decency to pull their sponsorship the same way Fox News, when Bill O'Reilly was sexually molesting almost everybody that worked at Fox, and they still paid him $30-something million. What sponsor is going to stand behind the comments of Rush Limbaugh, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, those sponsors are the Trump base, okay? And because he threw the Democratic faux pas in there, they're going to stand behind it, because that's what they're going to believe.
You think
they
so?
They believe that Rush Limbaugh is like God to the rednecks, okay? He is. There's nothing that he can say wrong. As long as he's popping Oxycontin and sweating, he's like God.
Yeah.
And so you think about it. Those sponsors didn't walk away when he was a convicted drug addict.
For the Oxycontin? Yeah.
They said that's okay.
Did he ever go to jail? Did he go to prison for the Oxycontin use and the distribution? They call that trafficking when you have that.
No, Charlton, he went back to the pharmacy and got more. That's what he did.
So he was not accused of trafficking.
And got more. Certain people get a pass on doing illegal things in America. Rush Limbaugh is one of those. He's gotten a pass. We look at Colts owner Robert Irsay.
Yeah.
He got a pass for doing something illegal in America. If you're a young minority and you have $1,000 worth of OxyContin,
Yeah.
you get 12 years in prison.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what you get because you're a trafficker.
Wow.
You know, but if you're Rush Limbaugh or Jim Irsay and you got $25,000 worth of OxyContin, you have a chemical dependency. You just need some help.
Yeah.
You need to talk to a psychiatrist. You need therapy.
And you know,
okay, you're not a drug addict. You need a therapy. Because if you can live using that much, you need therapy.
Yeah, they need something, especially, and people can Google the background of those men. Whether you like them or not, they're telling your kids it's okay to do this stuff because, look, they did it and got away with it. Think about that the next time you want to send some kids up the river. I got to go back again to what you said about Sarah Huckabee Sanders as a spokeswoman. You know, I wonder what Laura Ingraham is going to say to her, the same woman at Fox News who got on LeBron James for saying he should not be political. Just shut up and dribble. What's she going to say to a guy like Rush Limbaugh while these parents are burying their kids at one of the, I guess, most, I won't say elite, but one of the most, I guess, middle-class neighborhoods back in Florida, that same base that they like to be around? Does she say to Rush Limbaugh, I mean, what does she say to him, Big C, if she can slam LeBron James for paying $41 million to send kids to school and trying to create programs for after-school programs for kids in poverty and middle-class kids too, and having pizza franchises where he employs people, and she tells him to shut up and dribble, what does she say to Rush Limbaugh when he's marginalizing these kids being put to rest, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, you know, she's not going to say anything negative, Chelsea. You're not going to get anything negative from Fox News because he put the Democratic word in there, okay? As long as he put the Democratic word in his statement, he got a pass from Fox News because they figured that he was riding the Democrats and not saying anything negative on the families. That would be their stance.
Wow.
You know, because, you know, even the White House, I mean, Sarah Huckabee didn't address that today.
She didn't?
And she should have, you know, from the White House. The White House has been closely mommed on this, Charlton.
Yeah.
You think about it. The White House, and I kid you not, and I'm sincere about this statement that I made, I guarantee you, they were happy with what happened in Florida last week. You think about it. The White House, because it took all of the pressure of the media spotlight off of them for an entire week.
Off of Russia, yeah.
They had their first White House press briefing in a week today, Charlton.
Yeah.
In a week. They didn't have to address any of the spousal abuse. They didn't have to address any of the Russia. They didn't have to address any of the indictments. Nothing, Charlton. And they rarely spoke about the incident in Florida.
Wow.
To them, it was a good thing for the White House.
Yeah.
That Americans lost their lives, these American children. And then to even back my statement up, Charlton, when Trump tweeted about that, you know, sad that the FBI missed the mental illness and all the signs.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show there was no collusion on me in the White House.
It went right back to him instead of the
Think about
families.
that.
Yeah.
He addressed that. He said, I was glad that this happened because they couldn't address any collusion on me in the White House.
Yeah.
He stated that in his tweet, that he was happy about it.
Wow.
Because it deflected from him. This is our president. Not showing empathy to these families and this community, but being self-serving, talking about him and the Russian connection.
Now,
unlike us.
Yeah.
Instead of his total empathy dealing with and addressing. You think about every time that he spoke about this, Charlton, he doesn't speak with emotion. He's reading a teleprompter.
He's reading, yeah.
He's reading what somebody says because he doesn't have the words to deal with American citizens.
Yeah.
If somebody doesn't write it down, then he's going to fall off the ranch and start making his stupid statements, Charlton.
And no matter what he says, he still took the $30 million from the NRA in the lobbyists for the NRA. He's not going to get that money back. So, you know, as hard as it is and macabre as it is, Big C, I mean, I can't see how there's not some facts to that. It's a shame, but I did when I wonder if Laura Ingraham saw that tweet. I wanna look at what happens in the sports world when things go on the way people write $130,000 checks to prostitutes or to women who work at brothels or in the porn industry, whatever it is. It's a legal industry, okay? Her industry is not illegal, it's legal, okay? And I think it's a $10 billion a year industry, that nobody claims to watch, okay? Now, I want to just...
And the largest distributor
The largest.
of that material, Charlton, is Time Warner.
Time
Okay?
Warner. Yep. America's,
Time Warner
yep.
is the largest distributor in America of
Yeah.
pornographic material.
Yep.
Okay?
And they can
when you
Google
go
that.
into a hotel,
Yeah.
it's on the box.
Yeah.
You know, you can pay for it, and Time Warner owns those boxes.
Yeah.
So they're the largest profiteer from that industry of anyone in America.
And people can Google that, Big C. That's what we always say, Google. I think Google has really revolutionized the learning curve of people all over the universe that really want to know the truth that doesn't matter. I got to bring up something also in the sports industry that ties right into what Trump has been doing. I look at Louisville. We know what Michigan State's been through. We know what the U.S. Olympic team, the gymnasts, have been through and all that garbage with Nasser. And they hid him for a long time. That's part of white skin privilege. They hid him for a long time. Trump also benefits from white skin privilege. There's no way any man of color running for president could stand up and say, I'm grabbing white women by the vagina and getting away with it, stuffing Tic Tacs in their mouth, and no one would do anything, and then threaten to sue every woman, because they're all Caucasian, the women that came out against Trump, they're all white. You can Google that. And then I'm going to sue you if you tell on me. I mean, that's called white skin privilege. For anybody, it doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. Just Google how many men of color have run for Oval Office and gotten away with that garbage. I look at Louisville, Coach Pitino. Now, I'm kind of torn on this, Big C. I know you're one of them Southern boys. You guys look out for each other. But Louisville gets... They tried to fight having all these sanctions against them and losing their 2013 national championship. I guess that goes to Michigan now. But all because of some sexual improprieties where people were paying for what Time Warner endorses in almost every hotel in the United States, which is sex for sale. Now some of these kids in the college at Louisville were caught up in that same stuff, and Pitino loses his job, but Time Warner is still in every hotel in the United States of America. Big C, your thoughts?
From every hotel that every NCAA basketball team stays in, Time Warner is linked into their rooms, okay?
Yeah.
It's linked into their room. And so you can order whatever pay-per-view movie that you want.
Yeah.
Now, I look at this sanction that came down on Louisville today, Charlton, which proves that the NCAA has no consistency about what it does. It can be a witch hunt for one individual and not for another.
Yeah.
We had the situation with North Carolina last year with the academic improprieties.
Yeah.
Nothing happened to North Carolina. And they had some 27, 28, allegations of this.
Wow.
NCAA did nothing to that because of this heritage program and the background of the coach.
Yeah.
So Roy Williams, walked away unscathed in this incident, Charlton, because of his history.
Yeah.
Even though he was running the program. We look at Louisville now. We're saying that this happened in 2013.
Yeah.
And we're in what right now?
2018.
5 years ago, Charlton.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think if there's any players left on the roster from 5 years ago.
No.
Okay?
No.
That's what I'm trying to think. Are there any players that are left on the roster from 5 years ago? Now, they're going to put a 4-year sanction most likely on Louisville, okay? Yeah. For no players that had anything to do with the university.
Yeah.
Or will have anything to do with that coaching staff that was at the university at that time.
Yeah.
So the university is going to suffer a 4-year sanction.
Yeah.
You're vacating a title. Now, I think we were just talking about Time Warner.
Yeah.
So all this stuff is on videotape, it's on VHS,
Yep.
It's on private cameras. All of those victories that Louisville put up for that national championship.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I believe CBS even broadcast the game.
Yeah.
So they have it in their archives.
Yep.
So you can say that Louisville didn't win the national title. I mean, it's all on tape everywhere, so everybody has a copy of it.
Yeah.
So you can take back the trophy. But can you take back everything that a player has in his mind and in his heart about what transpired?
No.
Even the alumni and everybody else affiliated with the university.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you rob them and devoid them of that? Let's go back to out there in your neighborhood, USC.
Yeah.
When they put the sanctions on USC.
Yeah.
Okay? Under Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, you know, the limited scholarships and everything else. The players who played the games and won the games.
Yeah.
The NCAA can sit there and make any inconsistent statement that they want to make, Charlton.
Yeah.
But you can't go out there and take that victory from a player who was out there on the basketball court, football field, whatever. Let's go to Penn State.
Yep.
When they took away 190 victories. But they gave them back, Charlton.
Yeah.
Think about it. You gave them back. You took the victories from Penn State, and you gave them back. So there's no consistency in what the NCAA is doing.
Yeah.
There's not. This is the same governing body that watched over Larry Nassar and Michigan State.
Yeah.
Are there any sanctions against Michigan State?
Wow.
No, Charlton.
Yeah.
Now, they were molesting children at Michigan State.
Yeah.
Okay? What was going on at Louisville were grown men and women.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic to a degree.
Yeah.
All right? These are all young girls, teenagers, 14, 15, 12 years old, Charlton.
Yeah.
That were being molested and Michigan State turning a blind eye on it.
Yeah.
There's no sanctions on Michigan State. Their football coach, you look at all the sexual misconduct allegations against their football program and their basketball program, Charlton. People being charged.
Yeah.
Okay? Nothing's happened to Michigan State. Why? Because they have these coaches of high esteem.
Yeah.
Okay? How can Tom Izzo let this go on in his program?
Yeah.
How can D'Antonio let this go on in his program? Both of these coaches have competed high on the national level, Charlton.
Yeah.
So we can't, as Sarah Huckabee Sanders would say, you can't believe these young girls and women,
Isn't that
against these guys.
Did Sarah Huckabee know about? Did she know about what happened with the Olympic and NASA? Did she just intellectually vapid? Because at some point in time, you gotta ask that question if you're going to them to get the news. I just gotta bring this point up too. When I look at Louisville, we talked earlier this week that there's about 50 major programs that are under some type of investigation. They can't kill the golden goose. I think you're right about what happened. You just brought it up and it just popped into my mind. With North Carolina, there was all this buildup about what they may or may not find Big C, and people were wondering who's going to have a job, who's going to be out of a job, and nothing really happened. I mean, they're probably going to be in March Madness.
They had just won a national title, Charlton.
Yeah.
That was too close for the NCAA. You're going to strip a team that had just won the national title?
Yeah.
For academic improprieties. Your excuse was Roy Williams couldn't watch everybody.
Yep. Yeah.
But Rick Pitino could. Okay?
Yeah, that's right. They made Rick Pitino. And again, I don't know who's guilty or innocent. But the one issue I have, Big C, and I know we have to have some form of governing body, but the NCAA for years, they've been getting away with stealing money and not paying athletes while generating money from the athletes. It's called an antitrust violation. And for them to take the attention off of their backs, they have all of these schools lined up. Just let the dominoes fall whenever the pressure builds up for them, because now March Madness is coming up. So they got to pick off one of the major universities and say, look, we're going to be tough on guys that don't fly straight, or tough on guys that walk outside of the lines. But the main thing is, as an entity, the NCAA, every time they make money, and I think over $1 billion during March Madness, without paying student athletes, that's considered antitrust. Do you think that's why they have all these schools shaking in their boots thinking that we're going to pick on you next so they can take the attention off of themselves? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, we're talking, they're not going to bother any major program. But, I mean, at any point that the NCAA ever wanted to step in on any of the top 50 programs, football or basketball in the United States, there would not be a problem. It would. You could step in and put sanctions on all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're about as clean as not taking a shower after a football game, okay?
Yeah.
That's how clean these universities are.
Yeah.
To sit there and say that there's never been money paid out, there's never been cars given away, there's never been meals given away, there's never been apartments given away, Charlton. We saw at Ohio State, a decade ago with Jim Tressel, when all the players were driving brand new Nissan cars.
Yeah.
Coming from one particular dealership. The same thing that had occurred at SMU.
Yeah.
And SMU is the only program that has gotten the death penalty. But also when they got the death penalty, the conference died also. You got to think about that. The NCAA not just killed one football program, but they killed an entire football conference because that conference was the Southwest Conference was disbanded after that.
Yeah.
They had nothing. They went their separate ways.
Yeah.
So the NCAA saw how devastating it was to give the death penalty to a particular program, that it was far outreaching because you took the most dominant football team in the conference and killed it.
Yeah.
And so that was a ripple effect. Not only that, other teams that had them scheduled, Charlton, had to do scheduling changes.
Yeah. And I
had to go out and find another team to compete against.
Yeah.
So, the NCAA now is playing Big Brother, not to itself, but to everybody else. It's turning its back. It's almost like the White House, Charlton.
Yeah.
It's turning its back on what it's doing and pointing fingers at everybody else.
So,
well, we have no collusion here, and everybody knows that there's nothing but collusion in the head of the NCAA. That you can let child molestation and sexual misconduct go on against young girls.
Yeah.
But you don't say anything about that, but all of a sudden now you want to sanction this university for spending money that every executive in the NCAA head office does when they're out on a road trip.
That's a very good point. I do got to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. And for every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports. Whether you're a pro team, a collegiate team, a high school team, even your mom and pop soccer leagues, when you reach out to them, let them know Big C sent you. 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. Big C, I think sometimes when there's a smoke screen, it's often to hide something. And the progress that we make by talking about things is the first way that we can make it better. So again, I appreciate every athlete, from LeBron James, even going back to Jesse Owens and Tommy Smith and Muhammad Ali, all the athletes that stood for something more than themselves. But we got to look at who tells the history in their own history. I want to tie this into the White House because it's always been a place of mystery and a place of oligarchy, extreme power and influence. I got to look at how the black influence has always pushed no matter what. If you look at 1915, it was D.W. Griffith, The Birth of a Nation. That film, it was originally titled The Klansman. It was the first American motion picture seen at the White House. And it romanticized the Ku Klux Klan. But it painted blacks as villains and violent rapists. The same way Donald Trump says that Mexicans are murderers and rapists. And he got the white influence, his base. They really turned up their vitriolic in their xenophobia when they heard Trump say that. Well, that was also opined by President Woodrow Wilson back in 1915. I leap forward from The Birth of a Nation that demonized black people and people of color while they romanticized the Ku Klux Klan. The movie Black Panther, with a nearly all-black cast, has generated over $404 million in 4 days, Big C. That cannot be pushed aside. When you look at The Birth of a Nation, contrast that to Black Panther. It has been black men and women that have pushed through hatred, xenophobia, slavery, Jim Crow, discrimination, sexism, bias, criminal justice reform, all of those things. But when black Americans learn to tell their story, this goes back to Laura Ingraham also. I wonder if she ever saw Birth of a Nation in Black Panther and saw how what LeBron James said was so important to say. We got to tell our own stories, because if we don't, we'll have more of the garbage that comes out of the White House, calling them SOBs. I'm sure he didn't call the people that did The Birth of a Nation SOBs, but that was labeled to today's modern-day black American. Big C, do you see the contrast when stories were told about us? It was Birth of a Nation. We were villains. Black Panther comes out, and people can see the beauty of the black diaspora all over the universe. How important is that going forward, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, the way the stories are told has never been changed in American society. If you look at the youth, as far as our education system goes, you get a white kid that gets in trouble in America in school system, just like in Birth of a Nation.
Yeah.
They want to call that mischief.
Yeah.
And you know, they talk to the parents and talk to the kid. It's just mischief. It's just him growing up expressing himself.
Yeah.
You get a minority child, Charlton. All of a sudden, they want to suspend the child.
Yeah.
They want to cut short his education opportunities so that he becomes frustrated down the line, just like in that movie, Birth of a Nation.
Yeah.
When they went after blacks in that movie saying that they were rapists and murderers.
Yeah.
Just walking down the street,
Yeah.
they were labeled as something. And that's what our education system does today, Charlton, is that if a white kid gets in trouble, it's mischief. We just saw it down in Florida.
Yeah.
Is that, you're given every opportunity. And this has happened not just in Florida, but every other school shooting that's been, Charlton.
Yeah.
They have been white students, and they've been in mischief, as they say.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
They haven't put them in juvenile hall. If you're a black kid and you get suspended that many times,
Yeah.
you're put in juvenile hall.
Yeah.
That's what they do, Charlton. They find a way to put them in the incarceration system. Go back and look at the 18 school shootings this year in the United States.
Yeah.
And see the background of all of those children, all of those white children, Charlton,
Yeah.
that pulled the triggers in those schools. They were mischief children.
Yeah.
They got in minor problems at school,
Yeah.
as the administration would say. But if he was a minority, he'd have been a problem child that they suspended, and they were recommending that he be put in some reform school or some, juvenile detention center.
Yeah. Or probation.
That's
of some
how
kind.
it's looked at.
Yeah.
You criminalize a minority child, you make a white child full of mischief. He's just growing and expressing himself.
Yeah. And so.
And this is the expression that we get in society. And I'm not trying to be facetious about what I'm saying and lessen what the pain is about any of these school shootings in America, Charlton.
Exactly.
But America has to sit up and look at what's happening
Yeah.
and how it's happening. You can't blame a black kid walking down the street that gets gunned down by the police for this.
Yep.
You cannot. But we're finding a way to blame it all on mental illness.
Yeah.
And it's not mental illness. If you're mentally ill, how do you know to go in and buy a gun?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're mentally ill, how do you know how to load a gun?
Yeah.
If you're mentally ill, how do you know how to blend in to the situation at school? How do you know how to plan your escape route?
Yeah.
How do you know to go hang out at Walmart, then go to McDonald's, and then walk down the street with the rest of the kids?
Yeah.
If you're mentally ill, how do you know how to do that? Stop making excuses for what you're allowing to happen in white America.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
When they said that Black Lives Matter, when blacks were protesting and walking the streets saying Black Lives Matter, people were saying, you guys don't understand.
Yeah.
If you guys weren't bad people, this wouldn't happen.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
I'm trying to find out which one of the kids in the 18 high schools this year, in 2018, that has had to suffer through school shootings have been bad kids. And I'm not saying any race. I'm just saying
People.
which one of these high schools and these kids were bad kids as society in America wanted to label black people when they were out saying Black Lives Matter. Now we got kids saying kids' lives matter.
Yeah.
Will America look at them differently than what they look at black people?
Well, it's so important, the words that we use. That's why when Laura Ingraham spoke with such ignorance, it was like she was bragging about her ignorance when she said, just shut up and dribble. I wonder if she'll say the same thing to Rick Pitino. But people have to know that was President Woodrow Wilson back in 1915 when they debuted that, when they featured that movie, The Birth of a Nation, at the White House. They romanticized the Ku Klux Klan. Well, when they portrayed people of color, black men, as rapists and murderers, they gotta realize President Trump has done the same thing to Mexican Americans, rapists and murderers. This is not new. It's history repeating itself. So when LeBron James said those things that he said about Trump, there are a lot of innocent, American-loving Mexican Americans. They want their kids to have a free life and freedom of speech and liberty and justice and the pursuit of happiness the same way any person wants that. But when you have a president like when Woodrow Wilson did that and he applauded the movie, there's been thousands of lynching of black Americans because he demonized black Americans, Big C. That was President Wilson. And people say, well, that's in the past. Well, If we don't understand the past, it repeats itself. So when I look at the kids marching in Florida and the president's going to have a speech, this is bigger than just sports, but it takes a lot of athletes to stand up because they're a little bit stronger, it seems. But when I look at what Woodrow Wilson said about black Americans, Trump saying the same thing about Mexican Americans, that's why we got to hold them accountable for what they say. And we know that the people that support them, if they just could Google how painful that is, maybe they would tell, you know what, Mr. President, you're not accepted as an American president. We don't respect that behavior. And it led to thousands of people being lynched when Woodrow Wilson did not stand up and say, wait a minute, this is a disgusting movie, it's despicable, it's anti-American, and I'll have nothing to do with it. He didn't say that. Big C, how much of a difference would it make for the lack of lynchings that would have occurred had the president at that time, Woodrow Wilson, stood up for rights, for righteousness, instead of going along with that bigotry? Do you see the point LeBron James is making, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, he stood up for rights. He stood up for rights of those people who voted for him. Those are the only people that he cared about. You know, minorities were not a people, you know, and I keep looking at the Constitution, and I wish that they would read it when they talk about it, when they talk about amendment rights.
Yeah.
And you have to start at the beginning of the Constitution. You just can't go in and pick out an amendment and say this is what we're going to run with.
Yeah.
You know, when we talk about we the people, of the people, for the people.
Yeah.
All men are endowed with equal rights. They're not, because we were not men at that time, Charlton.
Yeah.
We were not people. So these indelible rights have never existed in America.
Yeah.
They haven't. It's just like with the birth of a nation being viewed in the White House.
Yeah.
There was no indelible rights for minorities, Charlton.
Yeah.
They had the black people that were being lynched in America and held without rights had no indelible rights.
Yeah.
When they were being prosecuted, locked up for free labor on chain gangs to go work on southern farms because the white man wanted to go out there and work for those slave wages.
Yeah.
So they could lock black people up and make them work for free.
And see,
they've always done that in American society.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about it, it's just what I talked about with the schools. White kids are in mischief. Minority kids go to jail and work for free for you.
Yeah. Prison industrial complex. And it ties in to Sarah Huckabee Sanders when she says that the women of all colors, but mostly been white ladies, it's been their stories that have been told, because the media shows up when a white girl is assaulted or attacked. That's a fact. You can Google it. But when Sarah Huckabee Sanders said these women are lying when they're saying they've been sexually assaulted, that's the same vitriolic attitude that the country had in 1915 when black women were coming forward saying they've been assaulted, but they were being murdered, or sometimes if they went to law enforcement and filed a grievance, sometimes their family members would disappear. Now when they disappear, they pay them off. But when people disappeared back then, they really disappeared, Big C. Okay? And people know that, especially people in the South, they understand what I'm saying. So when Laura Ingraham and Sarah Huckabee Sanders are saying women are lying when they come forward and saying they've been sexually assaulted, or to tell black athletes, which have always been the vanguard for social change in the United States of America since the Emancipation Proclamation, have been black men, you can Google it, and then to say, shut up and stay in your lane, that's the same garbage they were seeing back in 1915 that led to lynchings. It led to more years of Jim Crow, but it took black men marching. It took Rosa Parks and Dr. King and a lot of other unknown people that had put enough pressure on the White House to sign the Voting Rights Act that even JFK wouldn't sign, but Lyndon Baines Johnson did it. That's why athletes, if you have the voice, use your voice. Women, if you have the voice, don't be afraid to say that someone assaulted you. Come forward. There's always been a pushback. Don't think it's new. It's always been there. Big C, it just means athletes are the ones that are more bold, it seems, to come forward. Does that make any sense why people should not be silent? Because we do want liberty and justice for all, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, if you think about Laura Ingraham and her employer, Fox, they had two of the largest sexual molesters in the broadcast industry working for them last year. When you think about their president, Roger Ailes, and you think about their top broadcaster, Bill O'Reilly, they paid out hundreds of $millions for both of these men on their sexual misconduct, Charlton.
Wow.
And Miss Laura Ingraham was happy to work in that environment.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because she probably got paid a little bit on the side also.
Never complained.
Never complained about the sexual misconduct that was going on at Fox. She never told any broadcast at Fox, just shut up and do the news.
Yep.
Don't be molesting and sexually harassing our female co-workers.
Yeah.
She never spoke up against Roger Ailes. She never spoke up against Bill O'Reilly. And basically, she has condoned what they have done to her co-workers.
Called tacit
She's
consent.
acceptable of that mentality,
Yeah.
of that work environment, Charlton. She's
Yeah.
not against that.
Yeah.
But she's against an African-American athlete speaking up against social injustice in America.
Yeah.
She's against that. She
Yep.
doesn't want that to be said. It's okay, though, to work in a sexually devoid environment, Charlton, where you can molest and sexually harass women. She's okay with that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she's not against an African-American athlete speaking up against, for social justice in America.
Yeah. And that's why if you're young, and we ask our white brethren, for the few that have the courage to stand up and say what's safe, what's going to make their kids safe. You know, when you're an athlete, you have a grand podium the world listens to. And so I hope that people, if you're afraid, just follow what black men have done ever since the Emancipation Proclamation. It's always taken us, and that's a fact. You can Google it. And once we started, our good white brethren got behind it and just did what's best for everybody. But I'm so tired of people saying, well, don't talk about it now. Now's not the right time. I do want to touch on something that could also be kind of a tipping point for the world of affordability for people going to games. And this deals with the NFL. Again, a league that's about 70% African American. But I look at where they put what they call the leadership position. And for every athlete that can get what you want, get it. But Kirk Cousins, just let go by the Redskins. His career record as a starter is 26 wins, 30 losses, and 1 tie. And that's less than 50%. He has 0 playoff wins. And there's some teams talking about, because they haven't Googled his past, they're talking about $34 million a year for a guy that's 26, 30, and 1. That means 26 wins, 30 losses, 1 tie, 0 playoff wins. It's worth $34 million a year. That's $2,250,000 a game. That's $562,000 every quarter. Big C, is it me, or do I Google too much? Nothing tells me where that's justifiable, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you know, it's gotten to be a problem in professional sports to a degree, is that teams don't let their superstars go. They don't enter into free agency. And so what you get is the middle-of-the-run player that has this exorbitant price tag on it. When you look around the league, they sew up quarterbacks in long-term contracts.
Yeah.
The teams that want them, okay?
Yeah.
They know that this quarterback has an upside. We still haven't seen the upside of Kirk Cousins. We just spoke about his record.
Yeah.
And in the last 2 years, Jonathan, he's made $50 million, over $50 million.
Wow.
In the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And he hasn't produced a winning season or a playoff team.
No.
But out there on the free agent market, people are saying that he's worth $100 million guaranteed. Matthew Stafford gets some $90 million from Detroit. Jimmy Garoppolo just got $74 million guaranteed from San Francisco.
Yeah.
And they're saying that Kirk Cousins is demanding more money than both of these guys. Now, Matthew Stafford has been in the playoffs.
Yep.
He has won a playoff game.
One.
And matter of fact, he even had a winning record last year, even though his coach got fired, Jim Caldwell.
Yep.
And they're still trying to figure that out. At 9-7, you lose your job.
He's black.
Okay, so well, he was black, too, I guess that's the point.
Google it.
So, but you're going to give Kirk Cousins $100 million guaranteed. Now, as a fan, you have to sit back and say, okay, where's the value at?
Yeah.
Well, when you look around the NFL, and if you even look at the top 10 quarterbacks in the playoffs last year, Charlton,
Yeah.
which one of them did Kirk Cousins outplay? You can always have statistics when you're coming from behind. It's like Matthew Stafford. They say, he has the most come from behind victories in NFL history.
Yeah.
Well, you're always playing from behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that will help you do that.
Yep.
You don't hear that said with Ben Roethlisberger comes
No.
behind victory.
Tom Brady.
He gets out in a hurry.
Yeah.
Then, Tom Brady, you don't hear that. Aaron Rodgers, you don't hear
Cam
that.
Newton.
They get out to early lead
Yeah.
stuff, and they know how to play the game from the start,
Yeah.
not struggling from behind. But, the justification of paying middle-of-the-road players, because those are the only ones, Charlton, who are free agents. And I go back to the first year of free agency back in the early 80s, Charlton.
Yeah.
And the first player to get a huge contract was a fullback from the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
Okay? He was a backup fullback. The Dallas Cowboys gave him $400,000, which is nothing today.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But he got the first big free agent contract when the NFL went on strike in the early 80s.
Yeah.
And Gene Upshaw has fought. The late Gene Upshaw fought to get the players to where they are now, making the money that they're making.
Yeah.
But when it was set up that superstars would never go out on the free agent market.
Yeah.
It would be the backup players getting the free agent market. They could always franchise a superstar, but if you look at how superstar contracts are structured, okay,
Yeah.
they're structured where they don't all expire in the same year on the same team.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason why you don't get a market full of superstars.
Yeah. You just think about what you just said. It's all, and again, I know there's a perception behind everything. And we look at Kirk Cousins, and again, I wish everyone the best. But if you're going to give people who don't even have a winning record $100 million, and I know they don't want to give Colin Kaepernick a job because he spoke the truth. And sometimes when you're black and you speak the truth, people don't like it. Even though they know what you're saying is true, they still don't want to hear it. But you're going to hear it anyway. So if a man that can go to the Super Bowl, and then the next year, the NFC Championship game, he beat Tom Brady on the road, he's beaten Aaron Rodgers, he's beaten Cam Newton, he's beaten all these marquee quarterbacks, Drew Brees, Eli Manning, beaten all of them. And he can't get a job. And you got guys that can't even win, can't even go 500, that get $100 million. Now, I know this is not Birth of a Nation, but sometimes the image of the black quarterback is still the same. You could have a Super Bowl on your resume, 2 NFC Championship games back-to-back on your resume, the most yards in the history of the Super Bowl rushing as a quarterback, one of the most dominant games total yardage as a quarterback passing and running, and you can't get a job, and guys that can't get over 47% winning percentage getting offered $100 million. Big C, Black Panthers changed the state of Hollywood. For people who care about money other than race, they got to look at the image and duplicate it again. What can football do to do the same thing for guys that win, irrespective of what color they are? But some things are just unfair, and how do you fix it, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, the reason for Kaepernick's situation is that so many owners or teams are friends of the current administration. And, here's a guy who was a rebel. And he's being labeled as a rebel. He wasn't. He was a revolutionary.
Yeah.
That's not a rebel because he was not anti-American, Charlton. He was not anti-anything other than violence against American people.
Yeah.
And for somebody in the media to go out and say that he was against the American people, that's how lies get going. That's like Laura Ingraham. That's because you're devoid of intelligence.
Yeah.
And because you can't tell the truth, it's like with Fox News. You can't tell the truth about the rapists and sexual molesters that you employ.
They employ
You
them.
want to blast everybody else.
Yeah.
Saying that it was them and it wasn't you.
Yeah.
But you have to be honest about where you are and where you're not.
Yep.
And that's the situation. Everybody now, the excuse about Colin Kaepernick is that he doesn't seem like he wants to play football.
Yeah.
Okay, every free agent that's sitting out there, you got to think about this.
Yeah.
The New York Giants had a defensive lineman, number 98 on that team.
Yeah.
When he got a job 2 years ago with the Giants, okay, he was working as an overnight stocker at Walmart.
Yeah.
So did anybody say he didn't act like he wanted to play football?
Nope.
No, he was stocking because he needed to work. He needed to support his family himself.
Yeah.
So he's working as an overnight stocker. When somebody got a job with the Giants that knew him from his college days, looked him back up.
Yeah.
Now he's a starting defensive lineman in the NFL, living a dream every day.
Yeah.
But no one said he didn't act like he wanted to play football because he was stocking in a Walmart.
Yeah.
And so, but you get these people from this political perspective making these statements about Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Even though we haven't heard Colin Kaepernick say anything, contrary to what they're saying.
Yeah.
But he has all these spokespersons.
Yeah.
Making these statements for him, like he's an unintelligent man.
Yep.
And so that's where he's fallen into. We don't hear anybody saying Kirk Cousins doesn't want to play football. He's just sitting around waiting on the richest contract around.
Yep. For what?
Jay Cutler told people he didn't want to play football.
Yeah.
And still got $10 million.
They made him take the money.
Kaepernick didn't say he didn't want to play football.
Yeah.
Can't get a job because everybody says he doesn't want to play.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, a white quarterback that had retired, told people he didn't want to play football. They said, we'll give you $10 million to act like you're playing football.
That's funny. They made him take the money, Big Z. I think sometimes when people read, it's amazing what it does to your mind. And whether it's sports or politics or Hollywood, it's all the same. Tell your own story. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Bundini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you've got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young men, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, the Olympics are continuing tonight, and everything. Lindsey Vonn is going for her first gold medal in 8 years. She missed out on the last Olympics in Sochi with a knee ailment. But now we got the NBA tomorrow night starting back up for the last third of the season, Charlton. Will the Cleveland Cavaliers stay on this hot streak that they had recently before the All-Star break?
Well, Big C, we know the world of sports and politics and Hollywood is all good, and we'll all find out more. And you can find out every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide. And you'll follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and the good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never, ever any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no woman should ever have to go through that garbage all on her own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.